How does that work with some of the recommendations in the, what do you call it now, the Restructuring Committee of El Rufai? Because he talked about the local government autonomy and saying that states should be allowed to enact and develop laws for the local government areas. Do you think that every other party will agree to that point?
Why would they not? The truth of the matter is, this is what we should be aspiring, a position should be aspiring to, to get to. Even with the hue and cry that local government should be given that autonomy to operate? No, there is no government like that. When you say local government should be given autonomy to operate, who created the local government? Who has the right to create local governments? What is the example in other nations, the developed countries? When you look at it, okay, look at my state in Ekiti. We have 16 local governments. And we think that is what we can handle. Or if we believe we need more, like there are some SCDAs, the former governor extended it to 35. But under the law that we were operating, under our constitution, that would have been an illegitimate action. Now look at Lagos State. They've remained at about 20-something local governments. Kano has about 40. When you look at Jigawa, added together it was 60-something. This has been a major point of disagreement, of anger.
How do you respond to the argument? How do you respond to the argument that developing the local governments or giving them that autonomy will help to grow development projects, even from the grassroots? No, and the grassroots people are not getting that as we speak, and then you want to take away the local government? The reason why they are not getting it is not because the structure is not there. It's not because there are no local governments. It's simply because, first of all, the ability to generate income. Some local governments cannot even survive in any way. So such local governments, they might not be necessary because you need to pay for the chairman. They have a council. They have all that. You are merely developing individuals, not the grassroots. Today now, the federal government has the social security safety nets. They're saying, okay, give money to so. Where do we get it from? Now, part of this recommendation is that the states can begin to register companies themselves. Small businesses, business names, and corporations within the state. Now, the local governments will be able to get revenue. If money is coming in from your local area, you know what you are contributing to the state. What challenge do you see, for instance, now when we talk about these particular reports and the presidential system of government which it upheld? Can those recommendations it has made, can they work fully implemented to the letter on the presidential system? Exactly, because we copied the U.S. Constitution. And when you look at, there is a relationship between the state and the federal government. If you collect tax in the state, the federal government has its own taxes, that is federal taxes that must be paid. Now, the state has their own level of taxes. Some counties, they rely on sales taxes, which is the VAT that we give to the federal government here. So we are developing, we are growing, we are learning, and all these problems that we are facing is still part of our developmental process. The solution that we have today, this recommendation, I think Nigerians should be discussing this more than the 2019 issue. Okay. We should focus on getting this implemented to resolve a lot of our problems, security problems, economic problems.
Some will say deep within you, you know that these recommendations may not see the light of day. Are you concerned about that?
I don't share the thought that it will not see the light.
The National Assembly will pass it before the elections?
Oh yes, why not? I mean, there is no... The method written down and the procedures we follow, there are things that have been done. You could do a first reading, second reading, the same day.
But you just heard the suspicion, the question of suspicion.
Yes, you could have that the same day. It's this same National Assembly that did an amendment in a very short period of time. Under the present, well, I know more about the Senate. The moment you are committed to it, and it's a federal government bill, and it's an executive bill, and you know this is time-bound, because this is what everybody requires. It's so much agitation, so much insecurity around the land, that you know things that can move this thing forward, this country forward, we should take it as priority. But it's not a question of whether we have to take 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. If the party stays one month to conclude on this committee, then I will take it. Even
with the part of the restructuring report that has to do with resource control, how will it work? Because we know that the states want to have control over their resources, and even with the Land Use Act, get to improve their IGRs for states. But there are other states that are lagging behind, as it were, when it has to come to that level of having states to harness their own resources. Do you think that the National Assembly will genuinely, because it is being over about 80% of the APC is there, do you think that they will genuinely pass, especially that resource control part of the recommendations?
If they are sufficiently educated on what it means. The fact that you have resource control does not exonerate you from paying taxes to the federal government. You see, I've always put this forward. In the U.S., state of Louisiana, Texas, they have oil. They pay taxes to the federal government. Now, the percentage of tax that you pay from mineral resources, from things like crude oil, might differ from the tax that you pay as an income tax or as a business tax. So these are areas that will not be worked out. And everybody will have a sense of satisfaction that at least I'm sitting on maybe a gold mine. This is how much I'm getting out of it. If it's 40% that is going to the government, 60% is coming to the states. If it's 30-70, if it's 60-40,
yeah, how do we help states? How do we help states that are economically handicapped?
The states that are economically handicapped? Let me say something. We are getting so much wrong. I've been to Jigawa and I've sat with Governor Badero. The revolution he's doing in agriculture. They don't have oil there, but he buys products, he exports, he has put his youth in the farms. People are doing very well, and he's paying even the youth to go in. If you don't make enough, you don't produce enough, there is no state that does not have resources in this country. Okay. It is the human resources that we need to tap. We can move away from this problem of agitation on resource control, which has been a very sore point